Step 27 is going to look at how nutrition and recovery strategies affect performance. Particularly, we're going to pay attention here to nutritional considerations, pre-performance, including carb loading, during performance, and post-performance. Pre-performance, including carbohydrate loading. So carbohydrate loading is a strategy involving changes to training and nutrition that can maximise muscle glycogen, which is carbohydrate, stores prior to endurance competition. The key part here being is that it's endurance competition. Okay, it needs to be some form of competition. It's going to have some level of length about it. So a short competition is no good. It needs to be over an hour, 60 minutes longer. It is estimated that carb loading can improve performance over a set distance by 2 to 3%, which isn't much, but it may be enough to get people over the line. For anyone exercising continuously for 60 minutes or longer, carbohydrate loading is a proven form of boosting endurance, such as cycling or triathlon. The method of carb loading is as follows. A normal diet is followed 4 to 7 days out from competition while training tapers. Tapering meaning easing off, so reduction in intensity. In the last 3 days prior to performance, the diet is increased to 78 to 80% carbohydrates and training is reduced again. This method has been shown to be beneficial to endurance athletes. However, more recent research has indicated that there is also a positive effect on glycogen storage with increased carbohydrate 24 hours to competition. So that's a little spiel on carb loading. What I want you to do here, boys, I want you to draw the following graph in your book, then include the line to show intensity of training, and then one to include the carb loading process. So what we've got is we've got Monday through to Sunday. Let's assume that Sunday is the competition day. I want you to draw a dotted line for the intensity of training. Now, as we read on the previous screen here, as it says here, while training tapers. So if we start training here, if I was to draw it, it's going to go along like this, and then as the week gets closer and closer to competition time, we're going to drop off. So it's going to be up high and slowly moving its way down. The carb loading line, which may just start here, we might have the same level of carbs. What we do is, because we're eating along the same line, we're not actually having this massive increase of carbs in the last minute. What we're doing is, because our training has tapered off, what happens is the amount of carbs available in our system, stored as glycogen, has increased because we haven't been training as hard. So that's how it operates. So I want you to then explain it in your own words, and I want you to discuss the role of carb loading in improving sports performance. We're going to look now at the pre-performance meal. The goals of the pre-event meal are to top up glycogen stores in the muscle and liver, ensure an adequate level of hydration, so water again, prevent hunger, and assist in the psychological preparation of the athlete through routine or ritual. What we mean by that is if there is a meal that as a player that you like to eat, or an athlete likes to eat the night before an event, then that's the part of the psychological preparation. By having that meal, you feel like you've prepared. The pre-event meal should be consumed in the 4 hours prior to the competition. You need to allow time for the body to digest the food. The pre-performance meal should be a carbohydrate-rich meal that the athlete has consumed before, so they're not going to be sick or have any effects from this sort of food. And again, up here to this point, athlete through routine or ritual, something they're comfortable with. That's what we're talking about. The meal should also be low in fat and fibre and moderate in protein. These nutrients will take longer to digest and may increase the risk of stomach discomfort during the exercise. So again, the key part here for pre-performance is something that we're used to having. It's going to be high in carbohydrates to top up our glycogen stores. And of course, we need to have enough fluid to make sure we're properly hydrated. The following foods are examples of what might be suitable to eat 3 to 4 hours before exercise. Pancakes or pikelets with maple syrup, breakfast cereal, which most people would have in the morning, a bread roll with cheese or meat filling, fruit salad, potato or rice. So there's some examples of a couple of hours before to give them enough time for the body to digest them. These ones here now are just some snacks that might be suitable for 1 to 2 hours beforehand. Toast, crumpets, a liquid meal supplement, like a Up and Go, for example, a sport or cereal bar, or a piece of fruit. Something light, easy to digest, but it's going to fill you up. So we've got here some different nutrition. So we're talking here about some shakes, we've got the pastas, and we've got the Powerade drinks here. So 3 hours from competition, there's a list there of a number of different things that we could have for some meals, some examples of carb meals that would allow us to participate properly. 1 to 2 hours from competition, liquid meal, milkshake or a smoothie, which is what we've got here, breakfast cereal, and there's a few others there as well. And then look, less than an hour, we're looking at sports drinks, carbohydrate gels, some cordials, some sports bars, or some jelly lollies. obviously being the simple carbohydrates there to give us that little sugar hit before the event. So there's some examples there. During the performance, during sport, the body's main fuel mix comes from carbohydrates and fat. Unless the activity is going to last for longer than 60 minutes, there is no need to worry about supplementing fluid replacement with some form of carbohydrates. Okay, just the fluid would be fine. There'd be no need to take carbohydrates. The decision to take carbs during exercise is dependent on the length of the intent of the activity, the intensity, the environment the athlete is performing in. For example, during hot weather, glycogen is quick to break down. So for a triathlete who's competing up north in North Queensland somewhere, or the Hawaiian triathlete, the Hawaiian triathlon, which would be very, very hot and very humid, the glycogen is going to be broken down very quickly. So some sports bars, some snacks that they may have as they're running around or in their back pocket while they're riding on the bike for 180 kilometres. These are things that would keep them at a level where their energy level is going to be high enough to participate. There are many reasons why athletes will take carbohydrates during exercise. The main one is to maintain blood glucose level ready for when they drop low. So keeping a balance of your blood glucose levels. These carbohydrates are broken down into glucose and they may be used before stored glycogen. Fats can also be used before stored glycogen. This is called glycogen sparing. Finally, the blood glucose can be used to replenish glycogen stores as they are performing. A refueling target of 30 to 60 grams of carbs per hour of activity is a good starting point when supplementing carbohydrates during exercise. But the big thing here is that if you are going to be eating carbohydrates during exercise, it's only of exercise that's longer than 60 minutes. Less than that wouldn't be required. And provided the sport that you take allows you to do that. Soccer goes for 90 minutes, which is longer than 60. I can't see players pulling out food out of their back pocket during a game of soccer. So again, it needs to be looking at the environment the athlete is performing in. I'll just put a few examples here of each of these serves are roughly about 60 grams of carbohydrates, whether it be a sports drink, to Coca-Cola, to sports bars, to cereal bars, to sports gels, small or large bananas. That gives some examples there. The other thing we need to keep in the back of our mind as well is during performance is that water is required, and water is the best form of way to hydrate our body. So water is required by the body to give volume to blood, but most importantly, it maintains body temperature. Heat is removed mainly by sweating, and this rate will rise or drop depending on the conditions in which the activity is being conducted. An athlete should avoid caffeine and alcohol the day before and on the day of the competition. It's common sense. Although water is the best plenishing fluid for an athlete, there are also many other liquid options that athletes can take to maintain peak performance. Sports drinks have become very, very popular, pretty much because of their taste. Also, the added electrolytes in these drinks can assist endurance athletes as well as providing them with carbohydrates which water doesn't have. But again, we're talking about sports drinks because they've got the carbohydrates in them for endurance athletes. So marathons, triathletes, people that are competing for a long period of time. I've just got down the bottom here a little table on some fluid intake. So before exercise, 20 to 30 minutes, should be continually keep drinking. During exercise, every 15 to 20 minutes. Again, this is for a long period of activity. And after exercise, immediately after the training. And we've got different amounts here. But the easy thing that I always say to people is before the event, if you go to the toilet and your urine is clear, then your body's hydrated. And that can participate as well throughout the sport. Post-performance. After extensive performance, glycogen levels in both the muscle and the liver are depleted. Remember, we're talking here longer than 60 minutes. For the athlete's recovery and preparation for the next performance, it is important that the body is returned to its normal state as soon as possible. To do this, it is recommended the athlete takes a high carbohydrate diet within the first 2 hours following performance, as it will restore glycogen levels in the body and start to repair tissue damage caused by the activity. Fruit and vegetables such as watermelon and potato are also important, as they carry extra nutrients such as potassium and other vitamins needed for muscular contraction. During recovery, glycogen levels are restored, electrolytes are rebalanced, and tissues are repaired. What I would want you to do here is, because the syllabus asks us to look at, if you just go back to the first page of our presentation, where it has the actual, there, on the right it says here, compare the dietary requirements of athletes in different sports considering pre, during, and post-performance needs. So what I've done is I've put together a little thing here for you, where I want you to, if you click on this link, it'll take you to the Australian Institute of Sport Nutrition Fact Sheet. And it will give you a series of sports, or a large number of sports, with the different dietary recommendations for each. And I want you to compare the dietary requirements of athletes in 3 different sports, considering the pre, during, and post-performance needs. How you'll set it out is on this next slide. I want you to draw this on a full page. Sport 1, 2, 3. So it could be soccer, it could be cricket, it could be basketball. What's the pre-competition diet for the 3 sports? What's during competition for the 3 sports? So we're starting to compare them. What are the similarities between all of them, if there is any? You might find there's some differences. So a compare and contrast is coming in as well now. So look at some of our key themes. All right, so that's what I need you to do for this part there. And that's going to bring us to the end.